Hi, and welcome to the Biopilates Deep Dive podcast. Today, I would like to take a few minutes to explore a reformer exercise that I find particularly rich and revealing, the back rowing roll down with biceps curls. At first glance, this movement may appear simple. You are sitting on the reformer, holding the straps, rolling the spine down, and bending the elbows. Yet, when we observe it through a biomechanical and pedagogical lens, we quickly realize that it is actually a very subtle exercise involving the spine, the pelvis, the scapular girdle, breathing, and of course the elbow joint. As always in Pilates, the movement does not begin at the extremities. It begins with the organization of the center of the body. The starting position is therefore already an essential part of the exercise. We sit on the reformer carriage without collapsing against the edge. The pelvis is placed consciously. The spine rises into a calm vertical alignment. The legs extend forward and the arms reach out at shoulder height while holding the straps. This initial setup prepares the movement. It creates an axis. It allows the sacrum to roll smoothly on the carriage when we begin to move backward. It also prevents the movement from becoming a simple sliding of the pelvis or a pulling action of the arms. The movement begins with the breath. We gently exhale to allow the spine to move into progressive flexion. The head follows, then the upper thorax, then the middle of the back. The goal is not to fall backward. The goal is to articulate the spine, vertebra by vertebra, as if drawing a continuous curve through space. During this phase, the arms remain organized in front of the body. The shoulder blades glide along the rib cage without tension. The shoulders remain wide. The neck stays long. Then the elbow flexion begins, the biceps curl, which joins the movement of the trunk without ever replacing it. This is where the exercise becomes truly interesting because it highlights the biomechanics of the elbow. We often imagine that the elbow simply works like a hinge that bends and straightens. In reality, the elbow joint is more complex. It includes several articulations working together: the humero-ulnar joint, the humero-radial joint, and the proximal radio-ulnar joint. Flexion and extension of the elbow occur mainly between the humerus and the ulna. But the rotation of the forearm, pronation and supination, depends on the movement of the radius rotating around the ulna. Supination corresponds to the movement that turns the palm upward. Pronation corresponds to the opposite movement, turning the palm downward. This detail may seem small, but it significantly changes muscular mechanics. In a supinated position, the biceps brachii has a very favorable leverage to flex the elbow. In a pronated position, that leverage decreases and other muscles become more involved in stabilizing the movement. Among these muscles, two are particularly important: the supinator and the pronator teres. The supinator is a deep muscle of the forearm. Its origin is located at the lateral epicondyle of the humerus, the annular ligament of the radius, and the supinator crest of the ulna. It wraps around the radius and inserts on the lateral and posterior surfaces of the proximal third of the radius. Its primary action is supination of the forearm, the rotation that brings the palm upward. It often acts quietly but with great precision, stabilizing the rotation of the radius. Its innervation comes from the radial nerve, specifically from its deep branch known as the posterior interosseous nerve. The pronator teres is a more superficial muscle. It has two heads. The humeral head originates from the medial epicondyle of the humerus. The ulnar head originates from the coronoid process of the ulna. The muscle then inserts onto the lateral surface of the radius. Its main action is pronation of the forearm, the movement that turns the palm downward. It also contributes slightly to elbow flexion. Its innervation is provided by the median nerve. In an exercise like the back rowing roll down with biceps curls, these two muscles work in dialogue. When the forearm is oriented towards supination, the supinator and the biceps contribute more to external rotation. When the forearm moves toward pronation, the pronator teres becomes more active in controlling the internal rotation. This alternation creates a very refined regulation of the movement. The elbow does not simply bend, it constantly adjusts the position of the radius, the trajectory of the hand, and the distribution of forces. However, for this system to work harmoniously, scapular stability is essential. The shoulder blades must remain connected to the rib cage. If the shoulders lift or the upper trapezius becomes tense, the mechanics of the arm immediately lose their organization. Breathing also plays an important role. The exhalation accompanies the spinal flexion and supports abdominal engagement. The inhalation restores space within the rib cage and maintains fluidity of movement. What is fascinating in this exercise is the way all these structures interact with each other. The spine rolls, the pelvis accompanies the movement, the shoulder blades stabilize, the elbow flexes, the forearm rotates, the hand guides the strap, and the breath supports the entire sequence. When this coordination is present, the movement becomes remarkably fluid. There is no abrupt pulling. There is no unnecessary tension. The body finds a balance between stability and mobility. This is the intelligence of movement that I find so fascinating. An exercise that appears simple becomes a true biomechanical laboratory. It reminds us that every joint, every muscle, every orientation of the hand changes the way the body organizes the gesture. And it is precisely this level of precision that transforms a training movement into a deeper experience of body awareness. Thank you for listening to this episode of Biopilates Deep Dive, and I look forward to meeting you again very soon for the next episode.